Here we go. We're back again, guys. And tonight we've got a special guest. We've got Notts County defender Ben Turner joining us. Thanks for coming on tonight, Ben. Really appreciate it, mate.
No problem, mate.
Joined as well by the usual suspects. We've got Kyle, Boyle and Greg with us tonight. So, yeah, we're going to run through Ben's career and over to what how things are going as well at the moment at Notts County. So, yeah, we'll just start off, Ben, with a few just run-of-the-mill questions to sort of get to know you better. So, first one's first is, who was your childhood hero?
As a player, it was probably Roy Keane when I was growing up. I don't really know why or how that happened because I wasn't, watching him week in, week out or anything. But I don't know, just the way he sort of like was always at it and always seemed to try and be getting the best out of himself and everyone else around him. It's just like, I don't know, just as a kid, impressionable kid, I just thought I'll have a bit of that. I like that, and he was the player that I probably followed the most, really.
Fair play. It's a good one to follow, mate. He's some player.
Yeah.
What's your worst habit?
Worst habit? My missus would have a few, mate, to be honest.
Get her on, quickly, come on.
I don't know, really.
Flawless, look.
No, it's just little things, isn't it? Like,
only a woman knows.
Yeah, not the tidiest. And if I think something's going to happen and it don't happen the way I think it's going to happen, I do lose my head quite quickly. But yeah, that's it really. I don't do anything outrageous, I don't think.
Fair play. We'll have to get the missus on, mate, to get a proper answer then. What's your biggest fear?
Biggest fear? Letting my family down, really. Letting my kids and my missus down. Basically, yeah.
That's quality. I like that. It's mad, actually. Most of the pros we've spoke to, biggest fear is always either to do with sort of not achieving or failing or letting someone down. So it's all sort of, it seems to be a sort of common theme there as well, which is it's probably why you lot have succeeded in your field, really.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
There's that in football. I remember, like, when I was trying to make it, it was like, it was massive to me that I didn't want people to think that I got so far and then didn't make it. I suppose that's like being driven by the fear of not making it, which is the fear of failure, isn't it? And I reckon, like, there's a lot of lads in football, the ones who actually do make it, who are driven by that a lot. I do think that is like a thing in the game.
No doubt. Which team do you support, or which team did you support growing up?
Birmingham. I had a season ticket at Birmingham until I signed my scholarship at Coventry. So yeah, it was quite good. It was quite a good little era because I had a season ticket the first season they got promoted to the Premier League, and then in the Premier League I had a few good players like Christophe Dugarry signed. And he was unbelievable. Like the fans couldn't really believe we'd signed like a World Cup winner, and he actually was. He played like a World Cup winner. It was quite a good time to be a Birmingham fan. And then I was there for the cup final when we beat Arsenal as well. Went down there with my family that day. That was a good day as well.
Oh.
Was that Obafemi Martins? Was it?
Yeah. Martins, good. Yeah.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
You're happy with that one, Boyle, aren't you?
Flip.
Yeah, over the moon.
Flippity flip.
Physically sickening. But fair play.
Yeah, no, some win. And the last question, just before we get bang into your career, is the main one: Marmite. Love it or hate it?
I love it, but it has to be with quite a lot of butter as well to give it like a good ratio.
100%.
Great answer.
Just have Marmite.
Totally agree.
Oh. Greg's a hater, mate, and every single pro we're having on is a Marmite lover, and he's just
getting battered.
Yeah, fuming. Right, well, yeah, let's sort of get into everything then, Ben. So you started at Coventry, and 11 years old when you joined the academy there. How did it all sort of come about, and what was it like going through sort of the academy system?
So basically, I'd been on trial at Villa twice. Once when I was 8 and once when I was 9, 10. And they took someone else, a similar player to me, but someone obviously they thought had more potential both times. And then I got asked to go back to trial for Villa again, which was weird, like 3 times in 3 years. So you'd think they'd have saw enough at that point. And right when Villa asked me to go and train again, I was spotted by a Coventry scout, and Coventry offered me like a 2-year youth development thing without a trial. And to be honest, like at the time, it was like both times when you get sat down in a room after a 6-week trial and get told you're not going to get taken on at Villa, it's quite upsetting as a kid at that age. So I didn't really want to go back there regardless, because it was like kind of like it just become somewhere where it ended up not going the way I wanted it at the end. So I signed for Coventry, and I had one of my best friends at school was already there in the academy. So it just went from there, and then stayed with them all the way through. Then
Oh, brilliant! Who is it like during the whole YTS thing? Who was your boots was you cleaning, and what was the tip saying?
So I cleaned Richard Shaw's boots. He was one of like the senior pros. Great guy, to be honest. Yeah, really liked him. He tipped at Christmas, but not only that, he played my position, and he was just a good guy. But it's mad because like it's gone all the way full circle now, where the kids can't clean boots. So like when I was a kid, I was cleaning boots, and now I'm one of the senior boys. Now I'm cleaning my own boots. So it's like
not fair, is it?
Not really fair. No, I've just been cleaning boots the whole way through, really.
Yeah, your era had the worst of it. It's not even like, oh, once we're the seniors, we can get the young'uns doing ours. You missed that boat.
Yeah, exactly. Just missed like just right on the wrong cusp of it, because we got the back end of like still having like jobs and that. Do you know what I mean? It's between 16 and 18 before you were like a pro, so still had some like pretty horrible jobs. And as I say, then the boot thing didn't really pan out. Like I remember I was on equipment at Coventry, so like I had to go up, knock the manager's door as a 16-year-old, and ask him how he wanted the equipment set up for the day's training session. And like obviously it was daunting, because you put it out wrong, and then he walks out and he can't start his training session. He wanted to try and make sure all the poles were in the right place and all that. And it was like you just go from like leaving school, and then next minute you're like knocking Peter Reid's door, asking him how he wants his training session planned out, and he's quite a dry guy. So it was kind of like, but you know, like it kind of like manned you up quite quickly to a bit of responsibility and a bit of like, don't mess up after it'll look bad on you. Whereas it's quite, they don't have to do any of that anymore. So it's just, you know, turn up, play football nowadays.
Yeah, so they've got it good now, haven't they?
I'd do it. I'd clean, pros boots now at 33 years old or whatever. I don't give a fuck. I'd love it.
You'd wash them in the showers and all sorts,
Yeah, I'll do all boots, everything. I'll wash their shins and everything. I don't give a fuck.
Get yourself up to Nottingham, mate.
Yeah, you'll get a text tomorrow from Ben. I need my back washing Saturday.
Yeah, I'd love it. I wouldn't mind it.
Oh, God. And then, obviously, turning pro. What was that sort of moment like, and how was the news broke to you?
Terrifying, to be honest, because so basically we were all 18. Me and was 8 lads who got took on at my age group to as apprentices. So they got a 2-year to prove yourself between the ages 16 and 18. I got taken on a year early. So when I was 15, everything was going really well. I got selected to play for like the England under-16s with one of the other lads at Coventry, because we had quite a strong academy team. And then I got before I could go to that England call up, I got a stress fracture in my back. So I couldn't play for like 2-3 months because my back was hurting, and they thought, you know, like you get things like growing pains and this kind of stuff thrown at you. And eventually we got like a scan to diagnose what was going on, and I had a stress fracture. So by the time it got diagnosed, I was about to start my scholarship at 16. So I'd just done like my GCSEs and left school and everything. I went there full time, and as I started full time, I was injured, and I was injured. It took me over a year to be able to play again after my stress fracture in my back. It was quite a bad time, really. So I missed my first year scholarship. Started again second year. So essentially, I had like one season, so it's obviously less than 12 months to actually prove that I was worth taking on a pro contract. And I remember I started catching up fast enough once my back was okay. But the lad who was playing my position, my age group, Ricky Baines, he'd actually started playing for the reserves and doing quite well and stuff like that. And I was playing catch up on him basically. And then we were all at Coventry, like this, all the manager's room was upstairs and the changing room for the players and everything was downstairs. And I remember we were all going up on that day, like one after the other up the stairs to find out if we were being kept or not. And like, obviously, there's lads coming down really disappointed. I was somewhere in the middle of the queue, maybe sixth or something, and I was going up there. And I really did think it was like a toss of a coin because I'd missed so much. The other lad, Ricky Baines, had done really, really well and kind of established himself in the reserves. So when I went up there, I think, like sometimes I suppose, like if you've got that much talent or things have gone that well, you'll know you're not getting let go, won't you? But I really didn't really know. But when I found out I was getting kept on for 2 years as a pro, it was just obviously brilliant because I knew then, like what I'd done in 1 year, and now I had another 2 years to sort of do the next part. So I had an extra year to do the next part that I needed to do. So it was just a massive relief, but obviously just the start really of trying to establish myself as a pro. Just because you get took on as a pro, you're not really you are a pro in your job title, but you're not. It doesn't mean you're ready to play first team games that day.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Still a lot of work to do, isn't there?
Yeah.
And then obviously from turning pro, I know you went out on loan quite early onto Peterborough. Had you played any games for Cov before then, or?
So basically, I got put on up front against Stoke the last game of the season when I was 18. Mickey Adams just took me in the squad kind of out of nowhere. And I remember thinking, oh, great, get an experience of travelling with them. And we were defending a lead and he's put me on up front and just told me to run around, like, do whatever I can to sort of unsettle their defender. So I remember that so well. I had the driest mouth ever from the nerves, and that's like, it's a bizarre feeling the first time you ever go on a proper game, proper stadium. And then basically from playing in the reserve games, I was always like quite a big lad, so like I could always compete. I got asked to go on loan by Peterborough which was League Two at the time. And I just remember the assistant manager, Alan Cork, who looked after me really from that transition from youth team into like reserves and training with the first team. And he basically asked me if I wanted to go, but wow, he didn't. He just told me I was going. Really, he just said like, I remember he said, "You're going to be a big boy, Ben, and you're going to go to Peterborough and get some first team games." Like, and he's like, "Is that all right?" Like, but he don't like. I knew he'd already said, "Look, he'll come." Like he's game for it. So yeah, and he just said, "Look, the manager here likes you. You go and do that loan and show him you can play consistently men's football. Although it's League Two, it's kind of how the system works. It'll do you the world of good." And like I look back now and like at that age I was just whatever it took. You know what I mean? Whatever it took to show I was ready. And obviously every step when you're that age, people don't really realise in football, but it's so nerve-wracking because it's another new dressing room. I was 18, another new dressing room full of experienced players who, like old school pros from League Two that were like tough old fellas and whatever. And
was Guy Branston there, wasn't he?
Guy Branston was there. That's who I was playing with. Guy Branston, Mark Harbour, a few of these old boys like that. And like, it was great. But at the time when you first walk in, you're still just a nervous kid, and it's another new group to sort of. You just feel like every time you settle in at the level you were at, like when you get going as in the academy under 18 team, you settle into that. Then you got to like get used to the reserve team and win everyone's respect in that. Then you make your debut for the first team. You got to try and get the respect of the first team at Coventry, and then you're walking through Peterborough. It's just everything just moves so quick, and there's always someone new to prove what you're about. But like I say, I ran through a brick wall. I was just really hungry for it. I remember just thinking, like, again, didn't want to fail.
That's it, yeah. Because you initially went on a 1 month loan, and you obviously impressed them because they extended it as well, didn't they? They extended it for an extra month to get more games out of you. So.
Yeah, I got over 10 games, I think, in that little period. And obviously, started great. Got man of the match in my first game, and then away at Swindon. Swindon were top, I think. Cut my head, tight bandage around my head, and all that. Like, and I remember finishing the game. It couldn't have gone any better. You know what it's like as a centre half. That was kind of like help settle you anything. It was like weird. But then, obviously, there was a few things went not quite so well, and you kind of live and learn at that age. But that was brilliant. It was good. It was what I needed, and like Alan Cork, the guy who was looking after me, the manager, he knew it was what I needed, and Coventry, the rest of the staff there knew it was what I needed, and it worked out well in the end. Yeah,
that's quality. He's Jack Cork's old man, isn't he, Alan?
Yeah, Jack Cork's old man. Yeah, and I played with Corky because Corky came to Coventry. They're a nice family, like Cork. Both of them, like Alan was great for me coming through, and then Jack as a teammate, he's a great guy. Yeah, really good guy.
Was he only a young lad then, wasn't he, at Cov?
Yeah, he came on loan from. He was still on the Chelsea books at the time, so he came on loan to us there. But no, he's a good lad. I can't imagine he'd fit in at any club in terms of like everything you wanted, really. Like a worker, nice guy. You know what I mean? Like knew the game through his dad.
Yeah.
And all the rest of it, yeah. Really liked him. Good guy.
Yeah, he's a good player as well.
Yeah, he's had a great career. He's done really well.
And then, obviously, when you went back to Cov, I see that your third game in, following season, you got a red card against the Baggies.
Yeah. Well, that was, again, like you live and learn, don't you, that one? I remember that game. We were playing, it was the West Brom team, if you remember. The team that got promoted from the Championship, and they were really, really strong for the Championship. It was like Kev Phillips, Jonathan Greeny,
yeah,
the the fullback,
Neil Clement.
Was it Paul Robinson?
Paul Robinson.
Yeah. Sorry, mine went blank there. That squad, really strong squad, and Kev Phillips was like pulling off the centre halves. In between the centre halves and the midfielders, getting on the ball. Really, they were just passing the ball great. And I remember I was playing with Robert Page, and a few of the old lads was like, someone needs to like let him know because he keeps going in there. He's having like a bit of he's running the show, dropping goal there. And again, I was just probably like inexperience and just too much enthusiasm, whatever. He went in there to get the ball, and I went in and kind of emptied him out and just got a straight red. I remember it was because, and to be fair to Kev Phillips, he tried to get the ref to keep me on, which I thought like was kind of a classy thing to do, really, knowing that like they were going to beat us anyway that day. They were like probably the best team we've played in the Champ, or at least one of the best. But now straight red, so that didn't help me. And then when that ban had finished. Someone else had took my place in the Coventry team, sort of thing. So there was a chance to go on loan then to Oldham, which was League One. So basically, I'd showed up and do a bit in League Two, gone back to Coventry, got a few games, and then Oldham wanted me to go on loan for an emergency 1 month loan in League One because I think it was Will Haney was their captain. He couldn't play. I don't know if he was injured or suspended. So I went there and got sent off there on my debut as well. So I got sent off like back-to-back games. I got sent off straight reds.
Oh, dirty. Beep.
It's mad how it works. So that was me there at like 19, I think. 19, I probably just turned 19. And then I didn't get sent off again till I was 30. Just about to turn 33 this season.
No way.
Got sent off 2 games running at 19 and played centre half for 12 years without getting sent off in between them two.
That's a learning curve, isn't it? You've done well.
Well, yeah. And do you know what? I remember thinking before I got sent off this season, just sat there thinking to myself, it's not bad, that, is it, really, when you think about it? Like,
I bet you'd gotten close, though.
Going from like 19 do you know what? Like, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know how, because like, not I should have, as in, like, I got away with loads of stuff, but like, not the fastest man in the world by a long stretch, playing the last line of defence and whatever. And I actually remember thinking this season that you've done all right there, not getting sent off since you were 19, and then within a few weeks got sent off straight red. Weird.
Out of sight, out
Stop
of
thinking about it.
That's it. Yeah.
Don't. Yeah.
You got in your own head there, haven't you?
I must have. Yeah, I must have.
And then obviously the following season, mate, when we had J Tab on about a month ago, you had that massive moment away at Old Trafford in the League Cup.
Yeah, that was a mad one as well, because for that season again, I was trying to like get more games again. I played dribs and drabs of games for Cop, but never played like consistently, because obviously there was always like older pros and the captain was centre half and all the rest of it. You have to wait your turn, don't you? And this is it's the Championship, so it's a tough gig to just come in and just play relentlessly. But anyway, so we drew Man U in the cup, and for whatever reason, I never really remember why my name wasn't on the squad list that went up on the pegboard in the corridor where the squad used to go up at Cov. But my name wasn't on there. And then the next morning, I remember Michael Doyle, who I'm with now at Notts County, ringing me saying, "We're about to train, Turns. Where are you? Where are you?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "We're about to train. You're in this squad for Man U." Like, and I was like, "I'm not. I wasn't on the book." He was like, "You're in the squad, hurry up." So I remember just nailing it from Birmingham to Coventry as fast as I could in my little Peugeot 106. To get there, thinking I was going to get in trouble, thinking, what if I've missed it, whatever. But I wasn't on the list, so I didn't get in trouble or anything. So like I've got there all thinking, oh God, what's everyone going to think? Like I'm supposed to be travelling with the first team, and I'm not. I didn't even know. And then as it turns out, I was actually playing. And I went from like sat in my house thinking I was trying like the bomb squad or whatever to like going to Old Trafford, playing and winning. It was flipping mad, really. Yeah.
Who was you sort of marking that day?
Dong Fan Zoo, wasn't it?
Dong Fan Zoo. And Chris Eagles was off him. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was decent actually.
Dong Fan Zoo was awful.
Well, I wish we had Michael Misford that day, I'll tell you.
He bagged two, didn't he?
Yeah, he got both.
Yeah. It was weird. It was a mixed bag for Man U. It was like, they had like, I think O'Shea was playing, and they had I
got a list. You had Nani, O'Shea, Anderson, Lee Martin, Michael Carrick, PK, Evans.
Yeah, PK and Evans played. They both ended up winning the Champions League, didn't they?
Yeah. Bardsley, Wes Brown.
Bardsley, Brown, yeah. But now that
you had some players.
It was on. Again, Doyle texted me and said they were putting it on the Coventry's YouTube channel during the last lockdown, and he was like, "Get it on, mate. Have a look at us in this game." He said, "Look how hard we're working." I put it on. It was like we were so up for it. We were just like running around like lunatics on watching it back. But now it was obviously brilliant, and when you watch it back, we did deserve it, and it was an amazing experience. Like,
one result that.
That's brilliant.
I'm not having. I bet Tabby claims that assist for that second goal as well. That little dog shit touch. He's got the touch, that, hasn't he?
That was his first touch, mate. That was his first touch.
He's tried setting himself up and just absolutely played a lovely little.
What leg was he setting it up with?
The middle one.
Go on, Greg.
Was that obviously like winning that game there was massive, and was that like the biggest ground, like the best ground that you played at that time, and the achievement of winning there, was that become one of the best in your career also, like at the time?
And you know what, like I enjoyed it. It was amazing, and obviously it was virtually sold out, if not sold out, and it was beating Man U away and all the rest of it. But it was tremendous, like at the time. But like, I wouldn't rank it that high in terms of achievements because, like you say, like it was Dong Fangzhou, mate. It was like it was, do you know what I mean? But it was certainly brilliant to do it.
Poor old Dong Fangzhou, eh?
Getting battered.
Yeah. And I think Tabby actually said that they was a bit funny afterwards with like swapping shirts and that. They was having none of it.
Well, yeah, I think because they knew they were going to get battered, weren't it, from Sir Alex? So they were like,
the air dryers
with a J Tab or Ben Turner shirt on, and the hairdryer comes out.
Oh God, you'd have loved to nab PK's one, wouldn't you? After what he went on to do, bloody hell.
Again, like it's a funny game, isn't it? Because at the time it was like it was him getting his chance to play for them, one of his first games for them, and like we were all like, he ain't much use, is he? That young fella there played at the back, but like it's weird, isn't it? Like, you know, different games, bit of experience. Next thing you know, he's a world beater. So yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it? It's just getting an opportunity as well, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
he's done all right off the field and all, hasn't he?
Unbelievable, yeah. Unbelievable.
Fucking hats off to him. Fair play.
Oh.
And then the following season, you got on the score sheet for the first time. Do you remember it?
Derby at home.
That's it, yeah, Derby.
Yeah. No, yeah, I do, yeah. But yeah. That was a good moment. I remember that because we had a team night out that night as well. So we knew we were going out, and then I think it was the winner.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So then we went out in Birmingham on the night, and it was like, I don't know, it was just good because it felt like that day and that night was the first, I don't know, maybe the first time I felt like a proper first team player. Do you know what I mean? Like, as if like I was a bit more comfortable with the whole thing, that both on and off the pitch. That day and that night helped that. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah, we had Nicky Forster on this week, and he was sort of saying that similar thing. He was saying it took him about 50 games to really feel like a proper footballer.
It does. You sign a pro, but you're not really a pro. And then you play in the first team, you're not really a first team regular player. Then you play a few games and you still haven't played a few seasons. It's like there comes a point, doesn't there, where you go, well, now I can say that I'm actually one of the guys in this, one of the first team players at this club.
That's it, yeah.
And all these little bits contribute to that. Like, you know, starting to play regular, getting your first goal, going out with the lads and feeling like one of them, not like an outsider. Like, eventually you get there and you go, do you know what? Like, I'm actually getting there now.
The recognition from your peers, like,
really, yeah,
like that, yeah.
Where you're not just like a young lad who's walked in the dressing room, they're all looking at you thinking, is he going to be any use to us? Because it's a selfish game, and it's like if you walk in and you're absolutely crap, no one's going to want you in that room because you're going to affect their careers and their chances of doing well. It's a ruthless old game, so like you got to sink or swim fairly sharpish, ain't you?
Yeah, big time. Who was you playing at the back with on sort of a regular basis there? Because I had a look at the team, and then you had the likes of Arian Dejoux, Scott Dan in there.
Yeah.
Who was sort of the mainstay alongside you? Or was it a bit of a mishmash?
Yeah, it changed due to like injuries and different circumstances, and obviously me not playing all the time at that age. So like, I played a lot of games with Elliot Ward as well.
Oh right, yeah.
Who came from West Ham? He was about 2-3 years above me. So I played quite a bit with him. I made quite a few appearances next to Robert Page. DJ, who I played a fair bit with. And then Scott Dan went, and then Nathan Cameron came through, and I played a bit with him. It was
fair few.
Yeah, James McPake. I had a lot of different. There was a lot of different. There was a big turnover of centre halves due to like the old ones moving on, and like Scott Dan being one of the younger ones getting a good move, and yeah, you did chop and change quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Go on, Greg.
just like with that, obviously you said you was in and out and that, but when you was getting your chance, did it help the fact that you was like you're left-sided, didn't you?
Yeah, I was left-sided.
So did it help? Did it help? Was you the only one at the club, or was?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I mean, like once I established myself, I played, but then I had a few injuries then that sort of like knocked me back, like sort of cut me short on a few of my seasons when I was a youngster. But again, it's just like stuff you have to deal with, isn't it? But no, like after the first, I think once I was 20 odd, when I was fit, I tended to get some game time. You know what I mean? Like so, it was good to, as well. I think like looking back, it was good to like play with a number of different people because you do like you're a sponge. Then you're just absorbing information and everything like that. And I tell you, look, as you get older, you don't realise that like people are doing that to you as well, even when you don't realise it. Like, obviously now at my age, I would think that when I'm at Notts County, when I'm in and around the dressing room and we talk about football and that, and they watch what goes on. Like, obviously, I'm not as good a player as I was, but they'll still be like lads looking for me and trying to absorb information because they know that I have played a higher level than they're at.
Yeah,
but then I remember I was listening to a podcast a few weeks ago from Nathan Cameron, who I think Nathan was two or 3 years below me. So I'd have been 21 and he was 18 and he was in the position I was in 3 years before. And he played the first 5-10 games of the season under Aidy Boothroyd next to me. And then he said on this thing I was watching the other day on a podcast that how much I helped him, how much he was looking up to me and trying to like see what I was doing and trying to replicate and try and become his own version of what I'd done by graduating from the academy and making it as a first team player. And I never knew that at the time whatsoever. I was dealing with my own.
Trying to make your own way, yeah.
Yeah, but I still felt like I was trying to I still felt like I hadn't cracked the game. Do you know what I mean? Like I was 21, still trying to like establish me, but he was looking to me for some of his answers, and it's a funny game like that. You don't really realise who you might be helping, and you don't really realise who might be watching at any given time. And it's the same like you're like there's probably players that I've looked up to and tried to learn off that didn't even really realise that I was like watching their every move.
Yeah, exactly. Go on, Matty.
Yeah, just touching on what you just said there, I suppose in football sort of terms, the gap of those 2 to 3 years must be huge, especially for him looking at you as a bit of a more established pro and having a bit more about you. You probably, like you said, helped him out a lot more than you actually realised at the time because you were trying to focus on yourself. But I just think that's probably massive, that sort of gap. Even a year gap in the pro game must feel like a massive step, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It is, yeah. And it just everything about it, even physically. Like if I ever scan back through my pictures of my Coventry days, like the season when I was 18, when I was first coming through, I looked like a big boy, basically. Like a big boy, like...
Big boy.
Yeah, a big young boy sort of thing. And then I look at the pictures of the season when I was 21, 22. And then I'm like more, a bit... Do you know what I mean? Now I'm like, that's a man now there.
Yeah,
it's like the presence has changed.
It just doesn't it? It's a long time in a young man's life, isn't it? 18 to 21, 22. It's a big step. Like I say, all of a sudden you're a man, and then like you're there. Then people are looking at you, going, "I want to try and do what he's done the last 3 years and establish myself."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. And then, like you said, you had a few injury troubles, and then the following season you injured your knee. How did you do the knee injury? Was it in a game, in training, or?
No, we were playing Leeds at home. I was having a good run. I think
typical, absolute typical.
Yeah, Leeds. I scored like 3 or 4 goals at the start of that season. It was all sort of like, again, I felt like I'd gone from like establishing myself at Coventry to actually like being able to really affect the games and like just do a bit more, and just I felt like I was getting there. Do you know what I mean? Like being like one of the not, just one of the most trying to establish myself as like one of Coventry's reliable players. I felt like I was getting there.
Yeah.
And it was late on against Leeds. We were chasing the game. And I ran out wide. I think it was Robert Snodgrass. He went for a slide tackle kind of straight on. And I went for a slide tackle sort of from the side. So as my leg was out wide, he's like, all his weight's gone into my knee. And my medial knee ligament went to just completely ruptured. But it's it was a tricky one because it was a grade 3 medial knee ligament injury, but we didn't clock until I tried to rehab it for 3.5 months. The physios didn't clock that during the rupture, the bone, the ligament had like pulled out the bone out of the side of my knee.
Oh, fuck.
So instead of the ligament just detaching from the bone, the ligament went and pulled out like a crater out of the side of my knee with it. Oh. So we thought it's a grade 3, but it'll heal. But this ligament we thought would just reattach to the bone was attached to a piece of bone, and the bone were never going to fuse properly because, like, I was doing the stage of rehab that's supposed to stress the ligament, but instead of stressing the ligament, I was having loads of pain. But it was because it was like bone on bone.
Oh.
So it was like time where it was like, look, I'm supposed to be back playing now. What's going on? And I couldn't even do a side foot pass without being in like real pain.
Wow.
So I went for a bone scan, like a 3 bone scan. And I remember they showed me the pictures, and as they like say this is my knee here, as they turned the picture like that, there was like, once it got to that angle, there was a piece of bone completely away from, just floating there as the picture turned round. It was only on that angle you could see. It was like that spot there. So then what they did was they pinned the ligament to the bone, and then the bone pinned back to the other bone so it would properly fuse back together. And then four months after that, I was sort of getting there. But it wrote off the whole season, and it had started so well. I think it was like we were like 10 or 15 games in. I'd scored 3 goals, starting to establish myself a little bit further, and just ruined that season really. And it was a shame because if we'd have known it was that to start with, I'd have been back for the last third. But as it was, I missed 2/3 of the whole season. One because we were rehabbing it, not knowing the big crater of bone was there, and then once we fixed it, I had to start all over again.
So thanks for that, Snoddy. Yeah, cheers, mate.
Yeah, to be fair, he absolutely.
Go on, Greg.
Just on that, like, obviously, I know people make mistakes in that, but how has that gone unnoticed on the medical side, like, for so long? With obviously that you were mentioning about the pain and that, and you should have actually been back. Did it not sort of clock in their head earlier?
I think everyone would have hoped that it did, but I don't think everyone was trying to do their best. But it's like you can have these problems in rehab where it's difficult to get the last bit of the rehab right where you can play again. And I think they just thought it was that. I think they just thought it was like the ligament taking longer to be like strong enough to do its job again. But as it were, and we found out it was never going to get there without the surgery because it just wasn't. The two things weren't together, so it was never going to work.
It's mad how that can happen, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awful, mate.
Yeah, and as well, I don't reckon it would happen now as well because, like back then, it's like I say, like as a young pro, you're so driven and you never really take a reverse step. If something like that happened now, I think I would sooner, with the experience I've got, say something's not right here.
Yeah.
Back then, I was just doing what I was told and thinking, "Come on, Ben, don't be a pussy. Just like
I want to get back playing. Yeah, I want to get back playing.
You know, back step, like I need to be playing. This is like my livelihood and whatever. But like now, I think I would clock with my experience of these things. Something not right here, Ben. You know it really. Like you got to try and tell them.
Yeah, it's true.
Hindsight.
And like you said, you started that season well, and you obviously like impressed because despite the injury, you had Birmingham and Cardiff that showed interest.
Yeah.
Obviously, you ended up going to Cardiff, but as a Birmingham fan, how concrete was that interest, and how far did that get down the line?
Well, this is a funny one, really. So I was getting told by Coventry that Scott Dan had gone for 4 million, and we don't want to take less for you either. And at the time, I was a bit like, right, okay, more than happy to stay at Coventry. Really enjoy it there. But that's not going to happen because I'm injured, for one. And for two, Scott Dan was being touted by and taken by bigger clubs than the clubs that are looking at me. So, it's just two major reasons why that's not going to happen. But then, in the end, they agreed to take, I think it's 750,000. But Birmingham wanted me to sign, but everyone at the club. But the owner, what's his name? Oh God,
Gold. Is it Gold?
The Hong. He's from Hong Kong, weren't he?
Carson Young.
Carson Young was back where he's from, trying to sort out his. Do you know he's under all that criminal?
Yeah, they were trying to lock him up, weren't they?
Yeah, and they couldn't get couldn't get in touch with him. All of the Birmingham staff in the UK to give it the go ahead to sign me, basically.
Oh.
And he was over there trying to sort all that out. So we had bigger fish to fry. So it was like, look, we're going to have to wait. But it was all sort of, we do want you. We're just waiting on Carson Young. But he was off there trying to duck and dive from whatever he was ducking and dive. So, again, I'm just going to plug this in one second.
Yeah, no worries.
So, yeah, while all that was going on, Malcolm McCoy at Cardiff rang and basically said, look, we want you to come here. It's basically told me everything I wanted to hear, that he thinks that he can get Cardiff to the Premier League, and if he doesn't, he thinks he can get me a move to the Premier League if Cardiff as a club failed. And he just sort of he was kind of he just made a lot of sense. He seemed like he had a very up and at it approach,
and he was just off himself and all, wasn't
he? Yeah. He wanted 11 lads run through a brick wall. He said that he was mad keen on referencing players' characters as much as how good they were as players. And I don't know, I fancied it, to be honest. I thought, well, I don't want to mess about and lose my chance to, because basically at the time, Coventry had some really good young players, but seemed to every time someone did quite well, they'd move them on.
Mm.
Yeah. Like Scott Dan, Danny Fox, Leon Best, myself. It just seemed to build a player to a certain level and then just move them on for the first available chance of getting any profit.
Yeah.
And of course, I was injured and I thought, I'm quite lucky that this team's actually paying any attention to me, because if you imagine, I hadn't played since before Christmas and this was in the summer window.
Wow.
So I was a bit well, and it might be my chance now to actually go and try and play for a championship club that has got ambitions of going up.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Malcolm McCoy was selling to me. And luckily enough, it happened. So it was, it was a good decision, really.
100%, mate. Well, your first season there was a success massively. You ended up finishing 6th position to qualify for the playoffs in your first year there, and you had a nice little League Cup run, mate. Ended up going all the way to Wembley against Greg's boys, Liverpool, in the final. What was, I suppose even semi-final? Did you play? Was it Wembley semi-final as well, or was that two-legged? Isn't it?
No, Wembley semi-final was Palace away, Palace at home.
That's right. Yeah. So what was that sort of feeling like, knowing you're going to Wembley for a cup final?
To be honest, it was in one way it was terrifying, because it was cup finals are usually the absolute cream of the crop, aren't they? And we were we weren't the cream of the crop. We were Cardiff in the Championship. But on the other hand, it was like we got nothing to lose whatsoever, and we were the kind of team that like that particular Cardiff team. We didn't really take hidings. We were very like together and very consistent. So it was like, thought we got nothing to lose. We could give them a bit of trouble. Worst case scenario, we'll stick together and we won't get beat 5-0 sort of thing. So, and in the end, the whole thing suited us because we were the underdogs. We give it everything we got. And to be fair, we nearly pulled it off. We really nearly pulled it off. Like it was, we got as far as penalties and Liverpool missed their first 2.
Before we get there, Ben, come on, mate. You can't scoot past the moment.
The moment.
The moment that took it to penalties. Was it
108th minute?
I watched it earlier, yeah, and for about 3 minutes, it was just Cardiff corner after Cardiff corner after Cardiff corner.
Yeah.
The one before, it's come in, whipped in, bit of a scramble, and Dirk Kuyt clears it off the line.
Yeah.
He's back out for a corner, and then what's going through your head when Peter Whittingham whips in another fantastic ball and there's just mayhem caused with Pepe Reina and Dirk Kuyt, and you're there throwing Dirk Kuyt on the deck and stabbing it
foul. It was
leg.
a foul.
What is that like, mate? You scored at Wembley in the cup final.
That weren't a foul, mate. You weren't strong enough, was it? No, it was brilliant. Honestly, it was one of them. It was just like in the zone. Just felt, I don't know. Just felt like I could have played all day that day. Just, I don't know. Just felt like it's weird, really, because like I'm gutted we didn't win. The longer time goes on, I just think like
chance.
Yeah. Like so many Cardiff fans like still message me and all the rest of it whenever it's the anniversary of the game, or just saying like they loved that moment. It's like an iconic moment to that club, and clearly, like I'm forever grateful that I was able to, more by chance than anything, that I was able to like give them that moment and be part of that moment, like because it was some bloody good moment. Do you know what I mean? Like
everyone grows up wanting to score a cup final goal, and then like the way that you've done it as well, like obviously making it in extra time to go to penalties, is unbelievable.
No, it was, and like the crowd went mental, and like people have got all their stories about they foul 5 rows, 10 rows, and all this kind of stuff, and it's great. And like obviously the celebration probably added to that. Not that it needed adding to, but the celebration probably added to that. But like it's one of them like out of body experiences. I don't remember even. I didn't consciously ever think, Ben, take your top off.
I always think that. That's all I ever think when I score. Get the top off.
Yeah, but he scored and you don't. So, you know what I mean?
It just happened. And then, like, before I knew it, I was getting booked. And I was a bit like, I don't even remember taking it off, really. It's strange.
That's brilliant. Go on, Greg.
Just like the moment, the game, the opposition, obviously, like it's a massive achievement for you lot as well. Even just to be there at extra time and that. What was it like playing against that stature of like players and team, and to be there at that point, like to actually get? I know obviously it ended up on the sour note with penalties, but penalties is a lottery. But just to be there in that moment against them, against the stature and the players that you played against that day as well, like the effort that you must have put in as a team, would like the all-togetherness, as you said, like run for a brick wall for each other. Did that get you to that point?
Yeah, absolutely. That day was like, at the end, once they'd won, it was like watching them celebrate the cup, seeing like the sea of Liverpool fans that you've seen in cup finals growing up and all the rest of it, trebles and all, like, and it's like all that bit was normal. And then it was like the other end of the stadium, it was like Cardiff City's blue. And then I'm playing for Cardiff. And that bit was a bit like, it was a bit weird. It was like, right, okay, this is happening. That's normal. That's not that normal. And what am I doing here? It was, you know what I mean? But like at the end of the day, that's only natural, isn't it? Because every football player who's in that situation, you are just a man. Like at the end of the day, next thing you know, you're there doing that, and it was like it really was surreal. And one of the other things that was surreal about it was, by chance, like I say, I followed Birmingham until I became a footballer. I don't follow any team so much anymore, but like, so the season before, literally 1 year before, I was sat in the Birmingham end with my brother and my cousin. I'd hobbled into the ground because of my knee injury that I couldn't get right. And I was a Coventry City player, an injured Coventry City player who couldn't get his medial knee ligament right. And I remember watching it, and obviously Scotty Dan was my mate and whatnot, and Scotty Dan was injured and couldn't play in the final, but Scotty Dan was there, and he was involved in the celebrations, lifting the cup to the Birmingham end. And I was in the Birmingham end. And I remember like looking at Scott and thinking, like, buzzing for him from the stands, but also thinking I'd love just one day for me to be able to like play in a cup final. And Scott hadn't played that day, but he'd gone and moved, and like he became, you know, he played in games that got him to the final. I remember just thinking I'd love just one day to be able to play in a cup final like that. It'd be unbelievable. And then obviously hobbled out the stadium, went out a few beers with my family to celebrate that Birmingham had won the cup. And literally 12 months later, I'm a Cardiff player and I'm in the cup final and I've scored. And I just remember looking at the section where I'd sat the year before as a Birmingham fan. And again, it was just a bit like, this is weird.
Wow.
And then it kind of kicked in after that kind of like, do you know what? I'm gutted we've lost, because no one could have really denied us winning it either. It wouldn't have been like, it wouldn't have been daylight robbery. It was like, yeah, they had more chances, and yeah, we had to play the way we played, but we've gone and scored 2 goals against Liverpool at Wembley. There's a bit of fortune in their second goal in the way that the ball came across and Dirk Kuyt got it in. It was a bit like, oh, bloody hell, no one really did anything wrong for that goal. So it was kind of like that goal was a bit hard to take. And then Liverpool missed their first 2 pens. Yeah. It's like we were on the cusp of actually winning the cup, and like I say, and like I think like because of the whole underdog story, that final still means a lot to Cardiff fans, and the goal still means a lot to Cardiff fans. But like I sometimes think, Jesus, imagine we'd have won it. What kind of like what it would mean to the club.
Yeah.
And what that would mean for me personally. But, you know, you can't get too greedy, can you? At least I was there.
Kyle, go on, mate.
No, well, I think you sort of touched on it anyway. I was just going to say, like, that moment when the ball's dropped at your feet in the box there, and you can, it's literally, you're about to tap it in. Is it like one of them moments where your heart, like, it all just goes quiet and your heart just stops, you're thinking, fuck here now. And then what was that roar like as well? Because it must, like, yeah, I mean, you say you did sort of touch on it, but that just must have been amazing, to be honest with you. I mean, I'd love that. That's a bit of me, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, to tap in.
Yeah, like, it was surreal, and like, it was like, I don't remember much about the celebration sort of thing. I remember when the ball come in and it missed the front post and I was attacking the back post with Dirk Kuyt. I remember as the ball was coming thinking like, right, he can get off me now because this is going, like, I'm putting this in. I'd rather put it in the back of the net and like you blow for a foul and then moan that it's a foul than think I didn't attack it well enough. So I remember thinking, right, you get out of the way, like going in. And then, do you know what I mean? If the ref blows up, he blows up. But I'm not going to. It was like one of them where I wasn't going to regret not going for it hard enough. And then it went in, and like you say, it was just like, I don't know, it's just like emotion, just looking at how mad they were going, and like I'm going just as mad in my head, and my shirt's swinging and that, and just I don't know. I know it's not me either. Do you know what? It's not even me that really. I'm not really like. I don't celebrate. Like I don't. Like I will score on a Saturday if I'm playing, and I won't run over the halfway line to celebrate with them because I'm just like, well, you know, we'll celebrate if we win the league. We'll celebrate if we get promoted and all that. Like, and I've always been a bit more like reserved with things like that. It's a bit like, well, we're doing our job. But that day, it was just like, no, we're going full hammer here. We're not holding back.
If you can't celebrate them, when can you, eh?
Exactly, yeah. I just used all my celebrations at once, really, there.
Go on, Matty.
Yeah, just a quick one. I'm looking at some of the players that you played with at Cardiff. I mean, there's some real big names here. Bellamy, Robert Earnshaw, Gary Medel, Zaha. But the player I wanted to ask you about, because he plays in the same position as you, is Stephen Corker. Did you play with him at Cardiff? Were you paired with him at the back?
Yeah. So when we got promoted, generally the centre-back pairing was me and Mark Hudson. And then, which was great. Loved that. And then when we got promoted to the Premier League, we signed Stephen Corker on a permanent. He'd had England caps. And it was a case of, like, really one of me or Mark was going to play with Corker.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be Hudds, because Hudds was captain. Hudds was club captain. He'd had a terrific 2 seasons. Ever since I'd been there, he'd been just absolutely really brilliant. Like, I thought, like, Hudds was one of them. He was a slow man, like an actual slow man. He kind of like, he couldn't run, he couldn't sprint much at all. You could never really notice he was sprinting because he never really got that fast. But like, it summed up how good he was, that it never really made any difference to us getting clean sheets or him getting caught out, and that it was just like the guy could do the job. Like, he was good, proper good.
Reading of the game, bravery, leadership, like just a really good centre half, honestly. Yeah, like very good. Could pass it as well, but like
he was a rock, mate.
He was a rock. That's exactly it. A reliable rock. Just set your watch by what you were going to get from him. You just knew what you were going to get. I thought they'd pair him with Corker because I just thought, like, don't get me wrong, when we went up, Hudds had a really good season, and I had a really good season. We were major parts of the promotion. We must have been. We played at the back there the whole entire way through.
Won the league, mate.
Yeah. So we both had every right to be like, I should play. But at the same time, we're proper good mates as well. And it was kind of like, we kind of knew as soon as Corker walked in, one of us ain't playing, are we? Like, and it's like one of us is going to have to back the other one up and get on with it. And as it turned out, he went with me with Corker, whether that's the left foot, right foot balance, whether that was because Hudds was, what's Hudds? 6 years older than me. So he was going into his 30s, I was coming into my prime, whether that played a part in it. But yeah, he went for that. And now I played with Corker through that season predominantly. But Hudds was brilliant with me, like just proper club captain, proper friend about it. And it was one of them. But didn't know at the time how bad Corker's problems were.
Yeah, that's basically what my question was leading on to, because the way I viewed him, that he was good in the air, he was good on the floor, and his career just sort of, I mean, after Cardiff, I think he signed for Queen's Park Rangers and played over 50 games there, but I just saw his career go into the next level, and then he had some really random moves. He went on loan to Liverpool. He played for Dundee in Scotland, and then he ended up in Turkey or somewhere like that. But did you know at the time? So you didn't know at the time he was blighted by drink and gambling problems?
No, I knew from like when we had team nights, Christmas do, that he had a. How would I describe it? He's a bit of a mad drunk.
Yeah.
A bit like, whoa, like this is a different guy.
Yeah.
But you get 5 of them a season on a Christmas do.
Oh, yeah, you know? Sure.
And they're not all alcoholics, are they?
It's probably the one time you get out, obviously, apart from summer, to really sort of let your hair down and go for it.
I thought it was that. Just thought he was one of them, just a cannon when he's out, you know, like one of them. You get a career, the rest of it. He wouldn't have been the first, he wouldn't be the last. But it wasn't just that. He obviously had his issues, and I didn't know anything about his gambling. I didn't know anything about his drinking, really. I just thought like he overdid it at times, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And I've read stuff on it since, from his interviews and stuff, because He's tried to like help other people and all the rest of it. In fair play. And I think like he was an alcoholic, but I'm sure I've read that he said that he doesn't drink. It wasn't that he drank every day.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Like once he started, he couldn't stop, wasn't it?
I think it was that, like big benders and all that. And
binge drinker.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't understand it, because I love a beer, but I ain't got a problem, so I don't understand. I don't really.
No.
Never had that thing where like whatever he's got.
Yeah.
But I recently started following him on Instagram. I didn't know he had it, and then I saw him, and I've had a look on there, like, and when he posts and that, and he tries to help other people now. I think he's in Turkey, playing over there. He looks in brilliant shape. He looks happy. He's sober. I think he's, doing the best he can with his football and his self, and trying to help others while he's doing it.
Yeah, good luck to him, mate.
Fair play to him.
Yeah. And he was a nice guy. Do you know what I mean? He was a good guy to play with. I liked him. A lot of talent. Like you say, he probably should have and would have gone better for him in the UK if it wasn't for his problems and that. But
it probably would have benefited him going abroad earlier, because there's more of a drinking culture here as well, isn't there? So
yeah, there is that. And then like he had a young son when he signed for us, from a woman who he was never with. And I think like getting a chance to see his son and stuff like that used to create a stress on him and stuff like that. And like you don't, like, if you imagine now, like, people would watch Corker play football for Cardiff that season and they see the footballer.
Yeah.
I'm in a dressing room with him every day, and I saw the footballer and the person on the Christmas do, the person on any team functions that happened and all the rest of it. And I'm standing next to him on a football pitch all season, seeing him in the changing room every day, and I didn't know what was going on in his life. So what people see on the pitch,
nothing.
I'm playing with him, and I didn't clock quite how bad it was for him mentally. So what chance of like everyone else who's not in the dressing room with him got of knowing what the situation is with him at the time? And
100%.
I think there's in this day and age as well, there seems to be a lot more facility for people to open up. I think in general life, especially with obviously the mental health issue, which could possibly be linked to drinking or gambling. I think football is known as that sort of man's game. Like, if you got a problem, leave it at the door, sort of thing. And maybe you just didn't feel comfortable at the time trying to get some help. But I mean, if that was now, imagine, I think there's a lot more avenues for you to go down, and maybe his career would have took slightly a different path if there was that help there at the time.
Yeah, definitely. I do think though that, like, even in the last 5 years, it's changed. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it has massively changed. But I also do think that no matter what anyone says, if you come out as a footballer and you're earning big money, which he will be, especially compared to Joe Public when he was at our club and he was made captain because Hoods wasn't playing.
Yeah.
And you said, right, hold on. Yeah, I know Cardiff's trying to fight relegation, but I'm an alcoholic and a gambling addict. I still think even today that it's not going to go down well in all quarters. Is it? It's not something that's going to be acceptable to everyone. Not every fan who's paying their money to get into that stadium as a Cardiff fan. And I think that's still going to be a massive, rightly or wrongly, that's still going to be a massive factor in the football game, because it's just how football is. It's wired up slightly differently. It's just a mad game. It's like I've turned up to things, and like I say, like, I've never had like the problems that someone like Stephen Corker's had, but like even things like I've turned up to play football when I probably shouldn't have. Yeah. Really, personal things like just as an example, like my nan, like my mum's mum, she was like, she got dementia and she was dying in her home, and basically there was nothing else wrong with her other than the dementia had got that bad that she didn't eat or drink anymore at all. So it was kind of like just an old lady on painkillers waiting to starve to death, really, in her bed, like just wasting away. And like she was tough as hot boots, so it took ages. So I remember like wanting to be there for my mum when my nan passed, and being at my nan's home till like stupid o'clock in the morning all week for her to finally go the day before match day, and then making my debut for Mansfield the very next day, like that it actually eventually happened, and thinking like
not in the right frame of mind. Yeah.
One, I loved it to bits myself, so really I'm emotionally gone. Two, I've probably done like a night's worth of sleeping this whole entire week.
Yeah.
And then I'm turning up trying to make my debut as a professional athlete for a football club. And it's like, in hindsight, it's like, you probably should hold your hands up and say, oh, I can't. But then, like, there's no two ways about it. I've got that thing myself where if you can go onto that pitch and play, I've got that in my head. It's a man's game. You go out and you go out and you do it. You don't make excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, like maybe if I was brought up and if more players were brought up from a very young age to not be like that, maybe it would change a little bit. But I'm saying all this about like the Stephen Cook situation, and then like I know fair well myself that like I live by that other code myself.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to.
I think also the thing that doesn't help footballers is that the average fan doesn't see a professional footballer as human. They're not allowed to have emotions. They're not allowed to have opinions. They've just got to go out there and give it for 90 minutes, and you stop thinking about that guy until he steps over the white line again. And I think, like you said, a lot more is being done now to kind of bridge the gaps with opening up and laying your feelings on the table, really. Back in the day, it wasn't really like that.
Yeah, it's a good thing that it's gone down that route, isn't it, really? That in the long run, and for the players especially.
Yeah.
Greg, go on, mate.
It was just about...
was it back on the cup final? Was it back on the cup final?
No. I mean, I won't go over that. No, I was going to ask. Did you get anyone's shirt that day? Were we a bit like United, or as a club we're a bit better?
Well, Stephen G must have given it to his cousin because Anthony Gerrard was playing for you, wasn't he?
This is the thing. If these big clubs beat you, they'll give you the shirt straight away. It's like, oh, man, take the fucker. But like, if you beat them and then ask for the shirt, it's usually a bit different. You know what I mean? Trying to think whether I don't think I did. I think I was too disappointed we didn't win and just didn't bother. I think I got Suarez. He's from the league game when we got once we were promoted. But again,
did he try biting you at all?
You know what? He was absolutely sound. Honestly, like weird, and it's like
you get him.
He like he doesn't have to do it, but like asked for his shirt, and he was like, "Oh yeah, of course." Took his shirt, like thanks a lot. Went to step away. He's like tapped me, like no, give me yours. Like very respectful.
Right. Yeah, that's quality.
There's probably some South American kid running around with a
that's up in his fucking cinema room in his house. He's got Messi, fucking Ronaldo, Turner.
Yeah, imagine going through them. Wow.
Uncle Luis Suarez gave it to me. How many did I share from? My uncle gave it.
Oh, fucking hell. And then, obviously off the back of that anyway, we touched on it, but you went up as champions the following season. And then things didn't start so well in the Premier League. Malky gets replaced by the current Manchester United manager, Ole Gunnar Solskjær.
Yep.
What was he like as a gaffer?
Malky or Ole?
Ole.
Was that his first job in English football?
Yeah.
In English football, yeah.
Do you know what?
You can say it.
Do you know if you watch him? Do you know if you watch him on telly and you watched him as a player and you see what he's like as a character and how you perceive him like that? That's basically it. Nice guy. Nice guy.
He's too nice for me. He's too nice.
Nice guy. Wanted to play attacking football because he was an attacker, obviously. And he was like, play forward, run forward. let's get some goals. All the rest of it. He was never like he didn't want to come in and try and keep us up by shutting up shop.
Yeah.
But then, maybe he could have been harsher on some players, like you say. Maybe a bit less nice would have worked with certain players because basically the team that won the championship that we had, that team was hard on each other and everyone was hard on themselves and driven and literally like a load of players who were taking 5 out of 10 ability and managing to win the championship kind of thing. You know, ability levels, all right, not bad. Like, what could they get out of themselves and as a group? Like, an awful lot. And then you change the squad going into the Premier League season and you sign a few more of your, like, Peter Oden Wingies and Wilfried Zaha's and stuff like that, who ability levels higher. How much were they willing to fight and scrap and dig in as much as the team that won the championship? Not as much. So maybe those lads are not just singling them out as like isolated cases, but just like the mentality of the group switched a little bit because it got a bit more fragmented with people who probably weren't as driven and certain lads were on loan, so it didn't matter as much to them anyway. Certain lads were on short-term deals, so it didn't matter so much to them anyway. And certain lads, just naturally, they hadn't been on that journey of like Cardiff City getting to the Premier League. They've just jumped onto it once we'd got to the Premier League, and it probably didn't mean as much to them, probably.
Yeah.
Probably fair to say. And he probably could have been more harsh on them. But at the end of the day, like, he had a really difficult job to do. He replaced Malky, who was really, really popular with the fan base. For obvious reasons, he brought success. And none of them wanted him to go. They were singing for him to not go when they got wind that he was going to go. And then, not only that, there's a dressing room of players, still certain ones who had a lot of loyalty to Malky, like me being one of them. Not that I was any different with the new manager or anything. Like, I was always wanting to do the best for myself and everyone else. But it was just a totally, totally different character to Malky. And it didn't keep us up. But then Malky might not have kept us up either. We don't know, do we?
Yeah, that's true. Go on, Kyle.
No, well, again, you've literally just answered. I was going to say the difference in Malky to Ollie, from even just from me looking in, must have been like chalk and cheese, because you think like Malky's some big guy, like, you know, a bit of a
mad jock.
But yeah, a bit of a mad jock. And then you got Ollie. When you lose, he's mad. He just laughs. He's like, "Well done, yeah, I mean,
yeah." Like, Malky was on it. Like he was on it. Like, day in, day out, especially on a match day. We were the fittest, the hardest working, the hardest tackling. We were like, that was us, sort of thing. And then it changed, and Ollie wasn't like really there that long for that change to really kick in, if it was going to kick in, to be honest. And he's dealing with all sorts, like, you know, the backlash of the Malky McCoy against the owner situation and all the rest of it. Kick the colour change at the club, all that, different characters.
God, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Is that when you changed from blue to red, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That is an odd one. Yeah,
because apparently, like, the red is the colour of the dragon, and the dragon's lucky and all that kind of.
Was it Vincent Tan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tan, Vincent Tan and his stuff, yeah.
And didn't he have some mad views? Like, he thought like he didn't know fuck all about football, and then he thought like keepers should be scoring goals and shit like that.
Yeah, so like when shit had hit the fan in the Premier League and we needed points. Remember, we had a meeting in the video analysis room. A meeting with Vincent Tan and the players. And basically, the telly's been wheeled in, and he's just basically said, "Listen, lads, you're not shooting enough." And we're thinking, well, quite right, yeah, because we're going to like Chelsea away and we're not having many chances to shoot. mate. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like how it is.
You're waiting to get the ball, really, aren't you?
You've got to have the ball, then you've got to get it in their half, and then you've got to get it into a place where you can shoot. Then you've got to shoot. It's not easy in the Premier League to just go and have a shot. So then he's pressed play on this video that he's made, and it was just a montage of goals from ridiculous places and ridiculous distances. And he's basically just said, like, these guys decided to have a shot. This is how you score goals. You have a shot. So, like...
Unbelievable.
So then, like, for a few weeks, it's like, right, we're going to have to start shooting, like, because, like, the management don't want to be, like, ignoring the owner. So it's like, right, let fly, lads, if you're anywhere near.
If you get the ball in half turn, Ben, just have a go.
Yeah.
But it's like...
Keeper rolls the ball out, you turn and voila.
But you can have a go on the lottery, can't you, on a Saturday night? But you know what I mean? None of us have won yet, have we?
You know what you should have done? You should have done that. You should have got it off the keeper, had a go, and then looked up at him and go, there you go.
That's what you done, Vincent.
No, this is what I mean, though. Like, you're asking me about Solskjaer's manager, and this is going on. So it's a bit like...
It's hard for a minute, yeah.
It's hard for everyone. It's like, what are we doing here?
That's unbelievable. Go on, Matty.
Yeah, just quickly, I would say the jump from the Prem to the Championship must be like, it might like you say, when you go to places like, you know, Chelsea, Arsenal, Old Trafford, like mentally must be like soul destroying if you haven't got the ball. How much does that weigh you down, especially as a defender, when it's just coming back at you all the time?
Do you know what? It's all right until, because you sit a bit deeper. So physically, it's easier.
Yeah.
And it's all right until they're out of sight. If it's 0-0 or 1-0, them you're digging. You hope you get a chance and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's all right, but like you say, like once it's 2-0, 3-0, and you're chasing it, and then you're getting picked off a bit. Yeah, like on those days, obviously.
You had a mad game that year, I think, with Liverpool. I think was it 6-3 or something like that?
Yeah, that was.
Was that at Cardiff?
Yeah, it was at Cardiff. Yeah,
I had that in an accumulator. That's why I remember, and that's no lie. I had both teams to score and Liverpool to win. So that's why I remember.
I didn't play that game.
Oh, didn't you?
I don't remember.
No. That was one of the.
If you did, it would have been 4-3.
We shot.
Cardiff.
We got a point as well where a few players had been signed, like through agents that the owner and that knew, and it got to the point where it was like certain players were getting the manager was getting told certain players had to play and stuff like that. So it just got a bit silly at the end, but is what it is.
Yeah. Go on, Kyle.
Just on that squad. Gary Medel, what was he like? Because he was another little
bulldog,
little firecracker, yeah, bulldog, whatever. You know what I mean? He was just, and I watched him for Chile and that, and he's that role he played in that little sort of like that little sweeper. He was very effective for Chile. But I mean, again, just wanted to know what he was like as a person as well. Was he a bit of a nutter? He
was Bielsa's boy, wasn't
he? He was.
Oh, was he?
He was sound, you know. I couldn't really have much of a conversation with him, but like,
was that because he didn't understand you, or
can he talk English? Yeah,
he wasn't like, you know what I mean. He didn't seem like he'd been like educated to speak any other language. He was like full on like South American.
Yeah,
and like he'd come in and all he'd have in his locker be like, morning Ben, like that'd be about it. Like that's all he ever said to me, and I'd say like, yo, morning guys, you're right, and that'd be that, and then. He was like, he'd come in with like 5 or 6 mates. Because obviously, I think he'd relocated on a good contract. It might have been his cousins or brothers or whatever. They'd all be in the canteen smashing the lunch into her.
Brought them in for a free lunch. Yeah. Crack on, lads.
He used to he'd have a coffee. I'm not joking, he'd have like 5 or 6 sugars in it, Gazwood.
Oh, my Lord.
Like, banging him in. Like, he was fat as butter. He was the fattest man in the league. Like,
was that sugar?
Like, just loved eating and sugar, and he just just smashed it all into himself. But like he played centre mid for us.
How's his engine getting on?
Well, he started playing, and like he got really like good plaudits because, to be fair, like our results were good to start with, and until Malky was sacked, we weren't in the relegation zone. So it was like we were doing.
Well,
Ollie's at the wheel.
Ollie's at the wheel again.
And, that was
in the canteen.
because he'd go out and like he'd do like I think he did a game where he didn't give the ball away, and he was playing for Cardiff in centre mid. So he'd done like 50 passes or something, 50 completed, and it was a bit like, oh, this man can play, can't he? But then as the season went on, like I think his legs started giving out on him a bit in terms of like when he played for Chile, he was sweeper, but for us, he was trying to play centre mid in the Prem. So it was like we couldn't be playing a sweeper. It weren't that kind of games, you know what I mean? And like I think he kind of ran out of like I think he blew up a bit second half of the season, and then it got to the point where it was like, well, yeah, he does complete a lot of passes, but how many of them are forward? That kind of stuff started getting. But it was one of them where like he suffered when the team suffered. In the first half of the season when we were all right, he was you know what I mean? He was doing his bit like he was all right. He was, and then second half when we all started to struggle, and as a club we started to struggle. He started to struggle.
Didn't he end up at Inter Milan?
Yeah.
That was after Cardiff, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Because he had like
I thought that,
he had like an if we go down, he goes on a free sort of.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like them things, man.
No.
I just feel
like how much does that help? How much does that help Cardiff?
Yeah, it doesn't.
No.
And I'm not saying like he tried any less because of it. I'm not whatsoever because the man's a professional and he did the best he could for Cardiff.
But he just knows.
Just like.
It's them moments in it in games as well when it gets hard, and look, we've even Sunday League when you're playing and there's a player who's running rings around you and it's fucking gets to that stage where it's like, fuck me, this is getting difficult. If you're in his position where you know
you can move.
Yeah.
Look, if he goes and scores 2 or 3 more and we go down anyway, I'll fuck off to Inter Milan.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not really going to kill yourself here.
Imagine it's March. He's coming in. We've slipped into the relegation zone. And his agent says, Inter Milan will take you at the end of the season if you get relegated.
I mean,
and they'll even let your mates eat all the spaghetti.
no disrespect to Cardiff, but if you're getting Inter Milan waved in your face and you're already going down, I mean, he's not going to give a fuck, is he? Let's be honest.
No, their canteens fantastic and all.
Yeah, I bet they
even
do.
Even if they stayed up, to be fair, if Inter Milan come calling you go, don't you?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's still not the point. I don't like them little clauses. Oh, if you go down and all that.
Yeah, you're asking for trouble, aren't you?
Because your mind's off of it already, isn't it? It's just
If you're thinking about that, before you even sign for the club, then for me, when times get tough, nah. But yeah, like you said, it's not to say that he weren't committed, but yeah.
But he weren't.
No, so I liked it. I liked him. I did like him. I thought he's
I liked him
as well.
I like him even more after the canteen story. That's top.
I know. I wish I had a mate that could take me to a canteen.
Did any of his mates have your shirt from Suarez?
Nicked it off.
Just bowls in with the counter shirt on.
It was like we had to be under 10% body fat at the club under Malky, and then Gary Medel walks in. He's like 15, 16. And it's like, well, do you know what I mean? You've signed him like that. It's like.
How did he not get fined for that?
This is where it all gets a bit like in the Championship, like no exceptions apply. But when you go and sign Gary Medel to come and play for you on 50 grand a week, and you've signed him that fat, what are you going to do? Sign him on 50 grand a week and go, oh, by the way, we don't like
you. Need to lose a bit of weight, yeah.
Why are you giving me 50 grand a week to be like this then? If you don't like me like this, it's like you can't. You start making exceptions, don't you?
Is free pass to your canteen ain't helped him one bit.
Oh, fuck me. He's now my hero.
Yeah, I love him. I think he's quality. I think this is...
No, he was. He was a class guy and he was a real good player.
Quality, man. And then, well, like it didn't go great and you ended up getting relegated back down into the Championship. and the next season you finished, you missed the majority of it through injury. Was it a reoccurrence of knee trouble?
Ankle.
Oh, was it ankle?
Yeah, so basically, we got relegated. I remember walking around the pitch. We played Chelsea last home game of the season. Walking around the pitch to thank the fans for the support through the season. Ollie was still the manager. I remember walking around with Ollie, and he came over and he said, like, look, no, it's disappointing and all that, but we're going to like need people like you next season. You're going to be like my main centre back. I know that like you've done it before in that league, and we go again. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, love a bit of this. Like liked him as a man. Huge respect for him as a football man because of what he'd done in the game and whatever. And I thought, yeah, if this is what's being said, brilliant. But then in pre-season, I've ruptured my ankle ligaments, like a grade 3 ankle rupture. And to be honest, it was like from that point on, them next 2 years, it was like 6 ankle ops later, and Hardy managed to play.
Well, because
going again.
You went on loan back to Cov, didn't you, to sort of get back to fitness, and done your ankle again there?
Yeah, it was a nightmare. So like basically, I was waiting for my chance at Cardiff after one of my ops. So basically, I kept having this operation where what they do is you rupture your ankle ligaments, your ligament gets torn, and they try and like stitch the ligament back together the best they can during the operation. You wait, you rehab it, you go again. But it got to a point that, well, probably because I'm a big lad and like longer levers and whatever, but it was never that operation. So I had 2 on the one ankle, 2 on the other. Oh. And it was like that. My ankles just stopped being strong enough for me at that point, whether it was the wear and tear and whatever. They just, if I was ever slightly out, they just bang and they just grade 3 rupture again. So I had 2 of the ops on my one ankle, 2 of the ops on my other ankle. In between that, like I say, I was waiting for my chance to play for Cardiff again. I found out that Cardiff needed an emergency centre back, and I'd been there before, and I still knew some people there. So I basically begged to go. I was like, they were like, no, you're next in line for a game. And I was like, look, I need to play football. Like, it's getting silly. I've got to play. They were like, right, okay, as long as we can have an emergency callback thing on it. Went to Cov, was going really well.
Was that under Mowbray?
Tony Mowbray, yeah. Happened again. No, my ankle just went again when I landed from a header. Kept happening. So there was like 6 months left of the second season back down in the Champ, and it was the last season of my contract. And basically, the surgeon, the club doc, and the physios at Cardiff were like, look, are you insured? Well, I preempted the question about the insurance. And they were like, look, if you wanted to stop, I remember the club doc who really got on with Len Oakes at Cardiff. He said, look, these insurance policies, Ben, they are designed and you're paying for the privilege of when you're in a position like you are now that you use it. So, like, if you want to stop now and say you've tried, no one can really question that you've tried. The case can be put together. We can get the surgeon on side, and you could put the pieces together and take your insurance payout. You've had multiple operations, and the same thing keeps happening. It's been happening for like the best part of 2 years. While this was going on, I'd had the most recent op I'd had on my left ankle was a new surgery technique. And basically, instead of stitching the ligament back together, it was an internal ankle bracing technique. So basically, they drill a hole one side of the joint, drill a hole the other side of the joint, take away whatever scar tissue and whatever bit of ligament was left from all the ops I'd had over the years. And they put like an internal fake ligament that braced the joint and meant that basically it don't roll. It won't roll that way anymore. There's more, like, if it gets to that point now, I would probably just fall over sideways, if you know what I mean, because it's bolted in, like it's not going anywhere. So I had one of them done on my one side. So I said to Len, like, look, I think I need to retire, but I was rehabbing this particular op that I just had, and the guy who'd done the op down in London, he was like, look, there is downsides to it. Like, you do lose some of what you had. Like you won't be as quick. You know, you won't be able to perhaps react quite as fast as you could before. Like tiny differences, but they'll be there. And the rehab's a lot harder. And it got to the point, and I was like starting to like get through the rehab on this ankle. And I remember I was sat down with Mrs. and I was going to have dinner, and I just kind of like broke down a bit, and I was a bit like, do you know what? I don't want to stop. I actually want to get the other one done and give this a go. Like, and she was a bit like, oh, it's a lot of money, Ben. You sure? I was like, yeah. I'd feel like I've like gave up on my career if I don't give it a go, sort of thing. But at the same time, it was like a gamble because my career-ending insurance was basically, it works on cycles. So at the end of that cycle, then they'd give you a renewal, but they'd be basing it on an exclusion of your ankle, because obviously now they're going, it's like your dog. Like if you get pet insurance and your dog, like I got a Labrador, he has his hip replaced, and then your renewal comes through and it excludes that hip. And that's what career-ending insurance is a bit like. So it was like it was going to exclude my ankle. So it was kind of like I had to make it work, otherwise I'd miss out.
You'd have to get another career-ending injury to actually then get the new payout if that was.
Yeah. I'd need to like do something else, not my ankles. And my ankles was my only problem. I was like, look at my ankle, I'm all right. So anyway, I decided to carry on. But when I was rehabbing my ankle in the January, the Kencher, who was the chief exec, so he was like Vincent Tan's man in the UK. I was in the physio room, my foot in an ice bucket, and he came and told me you can find a new club at the end of the season. And I thought, flipping it, that's a nice timing, that, isn't it? Like I'm in the physio room, my foot in an ice bucket.
Because you weren't shooting enough.
Say again?
Because you weren't shooting enough.
I couldn't shoot that ball. So I knew from that point onwards I was looking for a new. Turns out the manager didn't even know that the chief exec had released me until a couple of days later. And then he was like, what? No one spoke to me, blah, blah. That was Russell Slade by this point.
Yeah.
So he tried to find out what was going on and was basically saying, look, I want to do what I can for you because I think we need people like you at the club and whatever. But the chief exec and above had made their decision. And to be fair, the decision, it was fair enough. Like they paid me to do a job and I hadn't been able to do the job. I'd offered for like 18 months to 2 years. But luckily, Russell Slade put me in the squads once I was back fit for the last month of the season, and then started me on the last game of the season at home. So I could have like one last game for Cardiff and also show people that I could actually physically play football again.
Yeah.
At least show them that I had, that one game, even though it was only one. It didn't show that I could play continuous games, but it showed that I existed still and whatever. So that helped.